2 weeks and 1 day. The Senate will come to order. Mr. Majors, would you call the roll?
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafales, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez-Humanic, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Tate, Todd, Ulibarri, Woods. Mr. President.
Here. With 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Colleagues and guests, would you please stand so that we can share the Pledge of Allegiance? Senator Martinez-Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senator Donovan.
Good morning, Mr. President and colleagues. I move that the reading of the Journal of Monday, April 25th be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as amended by the Secretary. As corrected by the Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted and the Journal is approved. Committee reports.
April 25th, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1320 be amended as follows and as amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 25th, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1390 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation, with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1361 referred favorably to the Committee on Finance. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1282 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1397 be referred to the Committee on the Whole. Favorable recommendation, with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1334 be postponed indefinitely. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 186 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1197 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 25th, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1285 be postponed indefinitely. April 25th, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1401 be referred to the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 25th, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1114 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 25th, 2016, Mr. President, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology is under consideration is at a hearing on the following appointments. Recommends the appointment be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the Statewide Internet Portal Authority for a term expiring June 1, 2016, the Honorable Lou Gator III of Fort Collins, Colorado, to serve as a representative of local government and occasioned by the resignation of Jack A. Smith, appointed. April 25th, 2016, Mr. President, the Committee on Business, Labor, Technology is under consideration as at a hearing on the following appointment. Recommends the appointment be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors for a term expiring July 1, 2018, Tamara Joyce Ward of Denver, Colorado, appointed. April 25, 2016, Mr. President, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology is under consideration as at hearing on the following appointment. Recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Pinnacle Assurance Board of Directors for a term expiring January 1, 2018. Bonnie Brown, Dean of Greeley, Colorado, and employer's liability is insured by Pinnacle, reappointed for term expiring January 1, 2020. Barbara Melman Davis of Denver, Colorado, to serve as an employee of an employer whose liability is insured by Pinnacle Insurance, reappointed.
No, where is that? It's down in Five Points. I took my little white kids from West. It's all pretty amazing.
Senate Services.
April 26, 2016, Craig Lee engrossed. Senate Bills 2, 56, 86, 97, 120, 140, 154, 162, 170, 185, 190, 191, and 192. Senate Concurrent Resolution 6, Craig Lee re-engrossed. Senate Bills 117, 130, 174, 178, and 189, correctly revised. House Bills 1006, 1014, 1232, 1309, and 1360, correctly re-revised. House Bills 1101, 1228, 1276, 1287, 1354, 1356, 1367, and 1391, correctly enrolled. Senate Bills 30, 41, 134, 166, 171, and 172.
Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that the Senate proceed out of order for the purposes of hearing a tribute to be presented by Senator Todd and Newell.
The motion is that the Senate proceed out of order. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order. Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Happy April 26th. We are moving along in the calendar. I am so excited about presenting this tribute today, and Senator Newell and my cohort from Arapahoe County and I are very proud to bring it forward. We were supposed to have done this back in March. If you remember March 23rd, I was here, but it was a snow day. A few other senators were here, but we were not able to actually do it on that given day. So today, we are going to celebrate a special group of young men. So the Senate of Colorado Legislature, convened in the second regular session of the 70th General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendation to the Overland High School men's basketball back-to-back class.
Come on, guys. Stand up so we can see you. Don't you have some? Show us over there. Come on. Let's see something here. A little present for the president.
They've got some significant moves.
Give it up.
Yes, hold it
Yeah,
up.
what do you think of that?
Guys.
I think that would look real good up here.
They are the 5A Colorado State champions. The members of the Colorado State Senate would like to congratulate the 2016 Overland High School men's basketball team on winning their second class 5A Colorado State Championship in a row, called Back to Back.
Give it up.
This accomplishment is a testament.
It's nice up here. Anybody got any scissors? Oh no, whoa. Let's just put this thing right out here. All right, bye-bye. We are the champions, my friends.
This accomplishment is a testament to the team's exceptional dedication as student athletes and the outstanding work of the Overland Athletics program. We offer our very best wishes in all their future endeavors. Their overall record, hold on folks, overall record, 23-3. They hold the national rank, not just Colorado, but national rank of 19th best team. I challenge them to take on any team in this nation can't hold a candle to the Overland Trailblazers. And then, of course, they are the #1 team for Colorado. This is requested by Senator Nancy Todd and Senator Linda Newell. It says on here the 23rd of March. I guarantee you folks, we're not going back in time. We're going forward. But just a month later, we're just so delighted, and signed by Bill L. Cadman, President of the Senate. Ladies
Thank you
and
for the-
gentlemen, I just
for
want
the
to tell
trophy.
you that, let's give them another round of applause first. And what I'd like to share is the honor of sitting in that gymnasium at Overland High School, the John Buckner Gymnasium at Overland High School, and watching these young men work together with tenacity, each and every one of them contributing to the success. There are a couple that have gotten a lot of press. There are a couple that already have their scholarships and are ready to move on. But it is the combination of effort. It is the tenacity and the leadership of Danny Fisher's coaching ability that has made this possible for the back-to-back success. This not only affects Overland High School, but it also affects our whole community and our whole state. I am so darn proud of the Overland Trailblazers, and I'd love to play the rap that they have, but I'm afraid I might break it down, and I don't think it would probably work. So,
You're out of order, Senator Todd.
with that, I yield to my colleague.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, members, you also may not know that because two of the top schools, so not only Overland, but also whom they beat is very important, because they are both from the same school district, one of our school districts, which is Cherry Creek School District. They beat 66-56 Eagle Crest. But I do want to give a shout out to Gervais Robinson, Reggie Gibson, Brent Halliburton, Stephen Hayes, Dejan Smith, Nick Holmes, Goy Wang, Deron Davis, Padiat Wang, Elijah Halliburton, Tedman Tyler, and Tyler Stevenson. That is the team we are appreciating today. Thank you for representing us so well in not only our Senate districts, but Cherry Creek School District and the state of Colorado. We are so excited for you all, and thank you for what you're doing.
So we do have a Senate basketball team. Two of our starters are at the microphone right there at the well. So, Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we also have the superintendent of Cherry Creek School Districts, Harry Bull, is with us. And there are a few other Cherry Creek folks that are in the audience, board members and other members from Cherry Creek School District as well. And we want to acknowledge and thank them for the importance of supporting fine education, quality education for all kids in Colorado, and particularly in Cherry Creek. So each and every one of you, God bless you, have great success in your life. And as my husband and I used to always say to both of our boys as they were growing up, what did we say? Be smart, be safe, and have fun. Be smart, be safe, have fun, and God's blessings go with you.
Thanks. The Senate will stand in a brief recess so we can greet the champions. The Senate will come back to order. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate proceed out of order for the purposes of taking up the consideration of resolutions calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order for consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 35?
Senate Joint Resolution 35 by Senators Lambert and Merrifield and Representatives Carver and Lee concerning the commemoration of the Buffalo Soldiers and the designation of a portion of United States Highway 24 from mile marker 308 to mile marker 298 as the Buffalo Soldiers Memorial Highway.
Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 35 and ask it to be read at length.
Whereas African Americans have served with honor and distinction in every major American war, and whereas approximately 180,000 African Americans served in the U.S. Army and another 18,000 served in the U.S. Navy during the Civil War from 1861 to 1865. And whereas in 1866, federal legislation was adopted to create 6 African American Army units identified as the 9th and 10th Cavalry and the 38th, 39th, 40th, and 41st Infantry Regiments. And whereas the 4 infantry units were reorganized in 1868 as the 24th and 25th Infantry Regiments. And whereas the African American troops could only serve west of the Mississippi River because of the prevailing attitudes following the Civil War, which led to their extensive involvement in the settling of the American West. And whereas these troops were given the nickname of Buffalo Soldiers by Native Americans, who were known for the same fierce bravery and fighting spirit of the respected animal. And whereas the Buffalo Soldiers' main charge was to protect settlers as they moved west and to support the westward expansion by building forts, roads, and other infrastructure and mapping the wilderness as the American West was being developed. And whereas Buffalo Soldiers were stationed at Fort Lyon and Fort Garland, Colorado, where they assisted civil authorities in peacekeeping efforts and participated in many important military conflicts in Colorado's early history. And whereas Buffalo Soldiers fought bandits, escorted stagecoaches and paymasters, and delivered mail longer than the Pony Express. And whereas Buffalo Soldiers were awarded 23 Medals of Honor and 40 Certificates of Merit for their valor, endurance, and courage, and the African American units had the lowest desertion rate in the Army. And whereas due to the integral part of Buffalo Soldiers have played in the history of Colorado and the United States, it is appropriate to honor their history and valor. And whereas this year, 2016, marks the 150th anniversary of the establishment of these African American regiments, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 70th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that the portion of United States Highway 24 from mile marker 308 to mile marker 298 near Garden of the Gods through the cities of Colorado Springs and Manitou Springs, Colorado, be renamed the Buffalo Soldiers Memorial Highway. That the Colorado Department of Transportation may accept and expend gifts, grants, and donations for the purposes of the initial placement of signs to mark the designated portions of United States Highway 24 as the Buffalo Soldiers Memorial Highway, and that the Colorado Department of Transportation may explore a cooperative agreement with the Board of County Commissioners for El Paso County for the maintenance of the markings for the Buffalo Soldiers Memorial Highway. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Governor John Hickenlooper, the Board of County Commissioners for El Paso County, the City Councils of Colorado Springs and Manitou Springs, the Colorado Springs Buffalo Soldiers Community Memorial Committee, the Buffalo Soldiers National Museum, the Public Affairs Offices for Peterson Air Force Base, Fort Carson, the Mountain Post Historical Center, and the United States Air Force Academy, the Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Transportation, the Colorado Transportation Commission, and each member of Colorado's congressional delegation.
Senator Merrifield, colleagues, please be seated.
Thank you, Mr. President. In September 1867, Private John Randall of Troop G, 10th Cavalry, was assigned to escort 2 civilians on a hunting trip. Soon after losing sight of the camp, the hunters suddenly became the hunted when a band of 70 Cheyenne warriors swept down upon them. The 2 civilians quickly fell in the initial attack, and Randall's horse was shot out from beneath him. Randall managed to scramble to safety behind a washout under the railroad tracks, where he fended off the attack with only his pistol until help from the nearby camp arrived. The Cheyenne beat a hasty retreat leaving behind 13 fallen warriors. Private Randall suffered a gunshot wound to his shoulder and 11 lance wounds, but recovered. The Cheyenne quickly spread word of this new type of soldier who had, quote, fought like a cornered buffalo, who like a buffalo had suffered wound after wound, yet had not died. Over time, the nickname Buffalo Soldier came to apply to all black soldiers, and the 10th Cavalry later incorporated the buffalo into its regimental crest. After the Civil War ended in 1865, Congress reorganized the United States Army and authorized the formation of 2 African-American cavalry regiments and 4 infantry regiments. African Americans flocked to these new units. The Army was seen as a means of advancement for the newly freed slaves and secure employment. It was a way to start a new life. Though commanded mainly by white officers, African American graduates of West Point were eventually assigned to the Buffalo Soldier units, and non-commissioned officers were all black. The Buffalo Soldier regiments fought courageously and professionally in every conflict the United States was involved in from 1867 to 1918. They were engaged throughout the American Indian Wars all through the West and were considered the most experienced units available in the Army at the outbreak of the Spanish-American War in 1898. And this is a piece of history that I did not know. It was the Buffalo Soldiers of the 10th Cavalry who led the charge with Theodore Roosevelt's Rough Riders that captured the San Juan Hill in Cuba, and 5 Buffalo Soldiers of the 10th were awarded the Medal of Honor. Though they faced discrimination both within the Army and from civilians alike, they persevered and excelled, heroically and courageously defending our nation. It is fitting that we memorialize and rename a portion of Highway 24 in remembrance of the Buffalo Soldier. And I'm honored to say that I will get to see that every day as I drive that highway, except when we're up here, daily, to go back and forth to work, to visit friends, and to head up into the mountains. I'm so pleased that my colleague from El Paso County asked me to be involved. It was a piece of history that I was not very aware of. I just heard about it, and I had the opportunity to do some research. It's an awesome piece of history. I hope that you will take the opportunity to do some research. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague. Thank you very much.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Mr. President. Some of you might know that I was a history major at the Air Force Academy, and I hope today all of our members and people watching on the Colorado Channel and others will get a little bit more history, American history, as to the experience of black soldiers throughout the history of the United States. As my colleague mentioned, I think used a term that comes out all too often, gee, I didn't know that happened. And I think that's very characteristic of the history of black soldiers, their experience throughout American history. Did you know, for instance, the first casualty in the American Revolution was a black man, Crispus Attucks? And I think, you know, there were several. We hear about Paul Revere, you know, writing the message out, you know, the redcoats are coming, redcoats are coming. But from the same origins, a black man who was I think his grandfather was the first free landowner in New Hampshire, kind of went the other way up in New Hampshire, got the irregulars together, and after Paul Revere got the word out to one group, the British tried to get back, I think it was to Boston, and the other detachment of soldiers kind of had marksmanship practice all the way back to Boston. So a very important part of defense of the country at its origins. But it didn't stop there. You might have heard Harper's Ferry in what is now West Virginia. The only person killed at Harper's Ferry was a free black man. Actually, he had been a slave, escaped slave. And unfortunately, by accident, I think John Brown's men, who were trying to actually free the slaves at the time, stray shot right in front of the Springfield or the Harper's Ferry Armory, killed the man, and he went down as a history as the only, I think, person actually shot at Harper's Ferry. Then we had the Civil War. You've probably seen the movie Glory about the 54th Massachusetts. The importance of Frederick Douglass of taking the leadership of working through the political system to establish the 54th Massachusetts, but one of many, many following units that served within the Civil War. All told, almost 200,000 black troops and sailors served in the Civil War. Some even served and were conscripted on the side of the South, I'm sure served with distinction, but of course the history was that of overcoming slavery and fighting for their freedom, and later becoming the units called the Buffalo Soldiers. One event you probably have never heard of is the Battle of the Crater. As the Civil War was drawing to an end in Petersburg, Virginia, right outside the capital, the Confederate capital of Richmond, the war reverted to trench warfare, very, very much like World War I, where there were static lines, where really impassable fortresses were built that the Union Army couldn't cross. The strategy was for a bunch of Cornish miners called sappers to build big tunnels underneath those lines, and just like they worked on the mines, they worked on the Georgetown Loop, other gold mining events, they dug under the Confederate lines and put several, probably tons of black powder under the Confederate lines and blew it up and formed a huge crater, which is still there, observable today. For several weeks, the strategy was to train a unit to exploit that breach in the line, quickly go through, penetrate into the Confederate defenses and take over the whole system. Those were black troops that were trained to do that. And they've been training for weeks. And unfortunately, about 24 hours before they lit off the explosion underneath the crater, the Union commanders decided, well, we don't know if we really want to trust the black troops to be able to fulfill the mission they were trained to do. So they suddenly changed their plans, put a white unit into it, and let's say the bottom line is, without that preparation that the black troops had, it was quite a bit of carnage for the Union troops that went into the crater. The fact is, the black troops were trained to do that mission and probably would have succeeded very well in that, but because of misunderstanding, because of misinterpretation, a lack of confidence in the black troops at the time, they weren't allowed to do their job at that particular battle, but I think that lesson was learned and the confidence grew, and as you see behind us, some of the visuals of what happened over the next several decades, where black troops, black units, and the Buffalo Soldiers were able to participate in many, many different battles, not only successfully, but with a great deal of distinction. That picture right there, I might mention that, just the fact that if you're interested in firearms safety, don't do what they're doing in that picture, okay? I think we had some Buffalo Soldiers and probably some Indian scouts take that picture, but if you'll notice later, they're kind of pointing their guns at each other, probably a bad idea. We did mention the Battle of, sir. Oh, we have a fire alert.
I thought that was photographers. Apparently, we have a fire alarm. We're going to assess this quickly.
Okay, we're checking on that. I'll keep up the comedy relief here until the fire alarm stops. We talked about the Battle of San Juan Hill, and my colleague mentioned that they accompanied Teddy Roosevelt up on a successful attack of San Juan Hill. Actually, historically, it's probably the other way around. The Buffalo Soldiers took that ground, and Teddy Roosevelt had a much easier chance of getting up there behind the seasoned units that were recruited through the Buffalo Soldiers. When we get around to it, you'll also see a map of the American West with several of the garrisons that were manned by Buffalo Soldiers. It's also interesting that Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders came from some of the same states and same general areas for doing their recruiting. So they were kind of recruited into different units, but in similar areas. I will make some introductions later after we pass the resolution. And I might also mention, too, and for those of you looking in on the Colorado channel, channel 165, we have some displays up here at the podium.
And we're gonna obey the fire alarm now, and then we'll pick this up momentarily when we return. The Senate will stand in recess. The Senate will come back to order. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move a call of the Senate.
Call of the Senate has been moved. It has been sustained. Sergeants, would you please secure the exits, retrieve the missing members? Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, Johnston, Jones, Kafalas, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez-Humenic, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Tate, Todd, Ulibarri, Woods.
This one has a 7. Number 7.
Kerr.
So apparently, the fire alarm was just from the Senate, and I'm guessing that those uniforms must be authentic because they said it was dust. So, Buffalo soldiers are wearing the original uniforms. Thank you for that. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having accounted for everybody, I move that the call be raised.
Without objection, the call will be raised, which takes us back to our program. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. For those who are listening in at home, we had a false alarm fire drill, but we all had to leave the Senate during the middle of a resolution. We're back, and we're talking about commemorating the section of Highway 24 through Colorado Springs as the Buffalo Soldiers Highway, Memorial Highway. I wanted to mention before we actually take a vote on this, this has a personal meaning to me through the studies that I've had in this area. Also, this particular section of highway, I didn't realize until this morning, but it's actually the route I took to work every morning going to Peterson Air Force Base from Manitou Springs for about 3 years. And I remember traveling down this road when I heard on the radio that there was a plane that flew into the Twin Towers in New York. That's a bad memory for me, but I will always remember that, and I'll always remember what we've done here today to memorialize some heroes of our country, our black servicemen and women who have served throughout American history. I would like to mention also that I brought in some statuary. I was just about ready to introduce my little friends up here. Just representative American Civil War soldier, what we call the free man, who represents coming out of slavery, and one of the Buffalo soldiers in the traditional uniform of the Buffalo Soldiers. These were designed by my brother-in-law and manufactured by my brother-in-law several years ago, but have really been an important part of our heritage, and we're glad to celebrate that today. So, Mr. President, again, I would again move our motion for passage of Senate Joint Resolution 035, and I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to come up and speak on this. I'm very supportive of this Senate Joint Resolution. I got, as you're aware, we had the fire drill, and I had some time to contemplate what I heard up here. And the good senator was giving us somewhat of a history lesson, and I started thinking about that. And I'm sure all of his history is exactly accurate. But the one thing that I've come to realize is I cannot answer for Korea, but Vietnam, at that point in time, we were all integrated. And so actually it's, you know, I served alongside my black brothers in Vietnam, and we got along very well. They watched my back, I watched theirs. But that's when the integration of this country actually started, in my opinion, as far as the military. So I'm proud to sponsor this, but I'm also proud to say that, you know, the American soldier, regardless of his color, pulls his weight. And it was really an honor for me to serve with people like this you have over here, because several of these individuals were serving at the same time I was. But I just want to come up and reiterate that. You know, basically our integration actually started, you know, maybe in the 60s, late 60s Vietnam. But I think from this point forward, you're from that point then, you know, it's when we started the integration in this country. So it's somewhat of a young situation, but we have a ways to go. But I am very supportive of this. Thank you very much.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 35. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 35 is adopted. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move that the morning roll call be added as co-sponsors on Senate Joint Resolution 35.
Is there objection? Seeing none, the morning roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Objections?
Thank you, Mr. President. Request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Members, I would like to introduce the several of the men here, one woman who helped put this together. If you'd all stand, or maybe stand as I call your name. I'd like to welcome back to the chamber Senator Ed Jones, Senator from Colorado Springs. We have several other representatives, Jim Mason, Bob Knoll is a former Air Force colonel. My good friend Willie Brazell, who's brought a lot of this together. Willie? Another good friend of mine, Sherman Fuller, who I think you said was a command sergeant major, right? And Army Ranger. Terrence McWilliams, who is also retired Command Sergeant Major of the 4th ID at Fort Carson, which is the top enlisted leader in the whole area there, Fort Carson. So, Mel Elliott is here today. He also works even today on national defense. Henry Allen, who's retired tanker, right? And then we have a couple of living history presenters, Mr. Matt Antoine and Travis Green. I know Matt is, I think, from Aurora, and Mr. Green is from Denver. And we thank them for coming today, too. Also, Patty Sue Spires helps put together a lot of the public affairs for the Buffalo Soldiers. And I'd like to have thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge, a special acknowledgement for George Payton, who's also one of the living history presenters. He was not able to make it today. He fell very ill last night and was ready to go, and we just want to acknowledge him and hope he's listening to this at home. Thank you, Mr. President.
Colleagues, we're going to stand in a brief recess so that we can greet our guests. Senate will be in recess. The Senate will come back to order. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the titles of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 140 by Senator Sonnenberg, Representative Kraftthorpe, concerning certificates of title issued for motor vehicles purchased from motor vehicle dealers. House Bill 1014 by Representative Williams, Senator Tate, concerning the creation of the Business Intelligence Center program within the Department of State. House Bill 1232 by Representative Kraftthorpe and Senator Baumgartner, concerning continuation of the authority of the Executive Director of the Department of Revenue to issue written responses upon the request of a taxpayer. Senate Bill 56 by Senator Lambert and Representative Lee, concerning broadening protections of the state whistleblower protection law for state employees who disclose confidential information to certain state entities that have legal requirements to preserve the confidentiality of the information disclosed. Senate Bill 191 by Senator Stedman and Representative Reagan, concerning marijuana research funded by the Marijuana Tax Cash Fund and in connection therewith making an appropriation. Senate Bill 192 by Senator Lambert and Representative Young, concerning a needs assessment tool for persons eligible for long-term services and supports, including persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the bills detailed on the third reading of bills for final passage consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 140, House Bill 1014, House Bill 1232, Senate Bill 56, Senate Bill 191, and Senate Bill 192.
You've heard the motion. Is there further discussion on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none, are there any no votes on any of the bills? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 16-1014.
Senator Neville will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1014. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1014.
Senator Holbert will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1014. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also wish to be a no vote on 1014.
Senator Marble will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1014. Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request to be a no vote on House Bill 1014.
Senator Baumgartner will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1014. Additional no votes on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 140 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Woods, Senator Baumgartner, Senator Scott, Senator Heath, Senator Newell, Senator Cook, with 31 ayes, 4 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1014 is adopted. Co-sponsors: with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1232 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Woods, Senator Holbert, Senator Crowder, with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 56 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Aguilar, Senator Newell, Senator Heath, Senator Kerr, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Grantham, With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 191 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Aguilar, Senator Hodge, Senator Newell, Senator Kafalis, Senator Jones, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Heath, with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 192 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Jones, Senator Merrifield, Senator Heath, Senator Newell, Senator Todd, Senator Kerr, Senator Hodge, Senator Aguilar, Senator Kafalis, Senator Carroll, Senator Garcia, third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 162?
Senate Bill 162 by Senator Tate and Representatives Milton and Cyrus concerning access by Medicaid recipients to non-enrolled medical providers.
Senator Tate.
Good morning, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 16162 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise again in opposition to this bill. I want to remind you that Senate Bill 162 will negatively impact Medicaid clients and the Medicaid provider network. Clients would be subject to medical debt for services that should be paid for by Medicaid. Clients would not be reimbursed by Medicaid for services normally available through Medicaid. What I forgot to tell you is if the out-of-network provider orders tests and labs, those tests and labs cannot be paid for by Medicaid. So the ability for these costs to go up dramatically is real. And finally, there are providers that have been removed from the Medicare and Medicaid program due to fraudulent billing, and they would now be able to serve Medicaid clients. Changing the statute could erode the provider network if providers decide to leave Medicaid to opt for cash payments. This bill is also opposed by the Colorado Consumer Health Initiative, the Colorado Coalition for the Medically Underserved, and the Colorado Center on Law and Policy. Thank you.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come down in support of this bill. I believe that there's a certain amount of people that do not want to get on Medicaid, so therefore this gives them the option to do so. And I thought it was a pretty decent bill, and I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I respect the speculations offered by my colleague from Denver, but if you think, I don't have time to go through a lot of the arguments, but in my opinion, this won't erode the Medicaid provider network. There is no financial incentive for a Medicaid enrolled provider to all of a sudden perform Medicaid services for cash. If you think there's a reason folks are on Medicaid, and as I mentioned on second reading, this will really just open up opportunities for Medicaid recipients to go out of network on the rare circumstance that it makes sense for them. It really is not going to mobilize any type of incentives for any change at all. And secondly, in terms of Medicaid recipients, it actually helps access. It's kind of funny how, as I mentioned on a bill yesterday, access is about more options. And in this case, we're talking about folks who, on a circumstance that makes sense to them, want to go out of network like we may choose to do on our own insurance plans, want to go to a non-network provider under their own circumstances and their own private agreement with a healthcare provider. This bill allows them to do that. Two observations additionally, We're one of the few states that actually prohibit this type of agreement between a citizen and a healthcare provider of their choice. And I also like to observe that Medicare does not have this type of prohibition, and yet we haven't seen the sky fall there either. I respect some of the conjecture by some of the opposing views, but I would just contend, having worked on this and continue to work on it with stakeholders, that this is a good bill for Coloradans who need choice and access at a timeliness and a circumstance that makes sense to them and not necessarily to the state. And I urge that I vote. Thank you.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come down in strong support of this bill, because we changed the rules for Medicaid for Colorado citizens back when Obamacare was put in place and the healthcare exchanges. Prior to that, you took Medicaid if you wanted it, and you asked for it, and you qualified for it. Now, if you go to the exchange seeking medical insurance, if you qualify for Medicaid, that's the only thing they will offer you. It is forced on Colorado citizens. Medicaid is great coverage unless you get sick. And then, heaven help you to find the right specialist who will actually work with you. Is this the way we're to treat Colorado citizens? This bill simply says, if you're in that spot and you find a doctor that can meet your need, we, the government, will not prevent you from doing that. It's as simple as that. It's a good bill. Vote yes.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 162. Are there any no votes? Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Carroll, Senator Aguilar, Senator Heath, Senator Kafalis, Senator Johnston, Senator Donovan, Senator Merrifield, Senator Garcia, Senator Kerr, Senator Jones. With 23 ayes, 12 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 162 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Woods, Senator Lundberg, Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Roberts, Senator Lambert, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Marble, Senator Grantham, Senator Neville, Senator Cook, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Crowder, Senator Holbert, Senator Hill, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Scott, please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 86?
Senate Bill 86 by Senator Neville and Representative Neville concerning the elimination of the capital state income tax deduction for retirement benefits.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 16086 on third reading and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the chaos of all the legislation that we looked at yesterday, this bill did not get adequate discussion, and I think it bears looking at from both sides of the aisle. You might want to just pull out the fiscal note on Senate Bill 86 before you vote for it, because whether or not you are concerned about funding core services like K-12 or roads and bridges, you will want to ask where the $418 million that this bill is going to take out of the general fund is going to come from. Or if you're someone who believes that you ought to return those dollars to the taxpayers through the Tabor refunds, you might want to look at page 3 of this fiscal note that shows that this bill will zero out the $232 million of Tabor refunds that the voters would be getting. And it will zero out the $150 million of the sales tax refund the voters of the state of Colorado would be getting. And so whether you support this from the side of making sure that the state has the amount of resources to pay for core services like the $1 billion negative factor in K-12, or like the roads and bridges that are dilapidated across the state, or whether or not you have fought fervently this session to prevent legislative changes that would have stopped revenue refunds to voters, this would do both of those. It will both stop the refunds to voters and it will stop the funding of state government to the tune of $418 million a year. I'd ask for a no vote on Senate Bill 86.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this bill basically does one thing. It eliminates the cap on state income tax deduction for retirement benefits. Pure and simple. We can argue about the dollars, where they come from, but the opportunity that we have here is to allow retirees to keep what they've earned. Doesn't matter where it comes from, whether they're on para, doesn't matter whether they're on a military pension, doesn't matter when they're on a private pension. This allows retirees to keep what they earned. I urge an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 86 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Hodge, Senator Heath, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Johnston, Senator Stedman, Senator John, Senator Merrifield, Senator Jones, Senator Aguilar, Senator Newell, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Kerr, with 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 86 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Woods, Senator, I see the hand, I can't see the face, Lundberg, Senator Cook, Senator Lambert, Senator Grantham, Senator Scott. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 97?
Senate Bill 97 by Senator Scott and Representative Quorum concerning measures to ensure that revenue related to the severance of minerals in the state is used in areas most impacted by the severance.
Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 097 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 97 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Crowder, Senator Carroll, Senator Jones, Senator Hodge, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Heath, Senator Kafalis, Senator Kerr, Senator Garcia, Senator Merrifield, Senator Stedman, Senator Aguilar, Senator Todd, Senator Newell, with 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 97 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Baumgardner, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Donovan, Senator Grantham, Senator Neville, Senator Lambert, Senator Woods, Senator Roberts, Senator Lundberg, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Marble, please have the president. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 2?
Senate Bill 2 by Senator Lundberg and Representative Sias concerning the submission to the voters of a ballot question regarding whether the Colorado Health Benefit Exchange can impose a tax to support its operations.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 2 and ask for its favorable adoption.
Is there further discussion? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, members. I do rise again in opposition to Senate Bill 2. And, you know, as most of you know, I recognize that there are things within the Affordable Care Act that are not working the way they need to be working. And I certainly wish that our Congress could talk about the issues in the Affordable Care Act like adults and help us fix the issues that are there. But it is undisputed that the Affordable Care Act has decreased the rate of people without insurance from 14.7% to 6.7% in the state of Colorado. And the exchange has helped people who in the past have not been able to purchase insurance because of financial barriers. Now, the exchange, unfortunately, is disproportionately attracting people who are sick, and it's more expensive for plans to be on the exchange. And in fact, United Health Group will not be participating in the exchange in Colorado in 2017 because they lost $720 million in their exchange business in 2015. Despite that loss, they had a 27% profit margin in the third quarter of 2015. So if you think that helping people who are poor and helping people who are sick have access to quality, affordable health care is important, then I would urge you to vote no on Senate Bill 2, which will undermine our ability to sustain our state exchange.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a little bit of clarification on what Senate Bill 2 does. It puts before the people of Colorado the question of shall the tax that has been established to fund the administrative costs for the exchange, which is estimated to be, I think it's $30 million in this coming year, shall that tax be voted on by the people or not? That's all Senate Bill 2 does, is it provides the mechanism for that tax to be voted on by the people. Now, if that's undermining the exchange, then the exchange must be doing some things that aren't quite legal. If simply bringing it to a vote of the people is going to undermine it, unless, of course, we don't believe that the people should have that constitutional authority granted, or shall I say, afforded to them. Senate Bill 2 simply brings it to a vote of the people. It's as simple as that. Vote yes.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise in support of Senate Bill 2. As a good senator from Bertha just stated, it allows people an opportunity to take a look before they are asked to dip into their pockets for more dollars into what appears to be a failing program. This is pretty much what we should be allowing people to do before we ask them to support and double down on bad policy. Colleagues, we'll have a lot of conversation about the healthcare exchange, but right now it is bleeding tremendously, and the only way they can shore it up is to go after more and more and more dollars. This allows an opportunity, at least for the people in the state of Colorado, to have a vote and a voice. I urge passage of Senate Bill 2.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 2 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Merrifield, Senator Aguilar, Senator Hodge, Senator Jones, Senator Carroll, Senator Donovan, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Kafalis, Senator Stedman, Senator Todd, Senator John, Senator Heath, Senator Johnston, Senator Newell, Senator Garcia, Senator Kerr, with 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 2 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Marble, Senator Roberts, Senator Cook, Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, Senator Woods, Senator Grantham, Senator Holbert, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Baumgardner. Please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 154?
Senate Bill 154 by Senator Lundberg, Representative Ransom, concerning the creation of income tax credits for non-public education.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the favorable adoption of Senate Bill 154.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 154 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Ulibarri, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Heath, Senator Hodge, Senator Carroll, Senator Donovan, Senator Johnston, Senator Jones, Senator Merrifield, Senator Stedman, Senator Aguilar, Senator Kerr, Senator Kafalis, Senator John, Senator Newell, Senator Garcia, Senator Todd, with 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 154 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Baumgardner, Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Woods, Senator Lambert, Senator Holbert, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Hill, Senator Grantham, Senator Scott, Senator Cook, please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 185?
Senate Bill 185 by Senator Scott, Representative Melton, concerning the allowable finance charge for certain consumer credit transactions.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over Senate Bill 185 to April 27th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 185 will lay over until April 27. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1309.
House Bill 1309 by Representative Lontaine and Senator Marble concerning defendant's right to counsel in certain cases considered by municipal courts.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 16-1309 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm going to be a respectful no vote. The communities in each one of your districts are going to have to figure out how to pay for a full-time attorney to sit there that may not ever even be used, because under the U.S. Constitution and under the state constitution, the courts already have to appoint attorneys. By supporting this bill, if you do not support unfunded mandates, you will be supporting an unfunded mandate for all of your communities. The community of Fountain was in the committee hearing saying that this was going to be problematic for them to have to hire a full-time attorney to sit there in the event that that attorney was never used. Because again, colleagues, at the first hearing, many of these folks are released, most of them are, and if they are not, an attorney is appointed to them when they are requested. So this can be a financial issue for every one of our communities. My community has 2 big boxes that may be leaving soon. For those of you who don't know how your local government works, city sales tax is what funds the majority of their budgets. They're going to have to fund another full-time person for the court system that may or may not be used, and what I've heard from my communities is most likely won't be, because they're already appointing attorneys. So again, municipal courts are already doing what constitutionally is required via the Roth-Gary case, and they provide attorneys within reasonable amount of time when they are requested, so I would ask you to vote no.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I urge you to vote yes on this bill. Actually, I would disagree that municipalities, all municipalities, some municipalities are doing what they should be doing, providing representation when a formal charge is put out in front of someone, instead of asking them to accept a plea or even time served and not understanding the full ramifications. That was the impetus of Roth-Gary versus Gillespie, where they said that when liberty is subject to loss, that is when an attorney should be provided. Regarding those communities and their ability to deal with this financially, we heard clearly in testimony that municipalities may designate all or many of their city offenses as non-jailable. Municipal prosecutors may waive jail for all or most city offenses, or may waive jail for any individual who is still in custody at the time of their first appearance. Municipal courts may immediately or at first appearance release all individuals arrested for municipal offense on a personal recognizance bond or an unsecured monetary bond. And municipal police may issue citations for municipal ordinance violations instead of making custodial arrests. Colleagues, it is within the parameter of municipalities to deal with this in a way that allows people to actually receive their Sixth Amendment rights and make sure those are honored, and also that they get the necessary representation in those few cases, but also to deal with the costs involved too by making changes in these areas. I urge a yes vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1309 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Cook, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Scott, Senator Roberts, Senator Hill, Senator Martinez-Humenick. With 29 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1309 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Todd, Senator Neville, Senator Heath, Senator Carroll, Senator Lambert, Senator Stedman, Senator Lundberg, Senator Kafalis, Senator Newell, Senator Merrifield, Senator John, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Garcia, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Concurrent Resolution 6?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 6 by Senator Ulibarri and Representatives Melton and Salazar, submitting to the Register of Electors of the State of Colorado an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning the removal of the exception to the prohibition of slavery and involuntary servitude when used as punishment for persons duly convicted of a crime.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Concurrent Resolution 6 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Concurrent Resolution 6. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Concurrent Resolution 6 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Woods, Senator Heath, Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Roberts, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Hodge, Senator Crowder, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Lambert, Senator Carroll, Senator Stedman, Senator John, Senator Neville, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Marble, Senator Newell, Senator Kerr, Senator Grantham, Senator Garcia, Senator Todd, Senator Donovan, Senator Johnston, Senator Holbert, Senator Aguilar, Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Cook, Senator Jones, Senator Scott, please have the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1360?
House Bill 1360 by Representatives Landgraf and Fontaine, Senator Lundberg, concerning the continuation of the regulation of direct entry midwives by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the Sunset Report prepared by the Department.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1360 and ask for its favorable adoption.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1360 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Baumgardner. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1360 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Hodge, Senator Lambert, Senator Grantham, Senator Neville, Senator Woods, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 170?
Senate Bill 170 by Senator Tate concerning the purchase of insurance through the Colorado Health Benefit Exchange for individuals who are eligible for the state Medicaid program.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the Senate lay over Senate Bill 170 to April 27th while we look for a House sponsor.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 170 will lay over until April 27th. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 120.
Senate Bill 120 by Senator Roberts, Representative Coram, concerning providing an explanation of benefits to Medicaid recipients for purposes of discovering potential Medicaid fraud in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 120 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 120 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Aguilar. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 120 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Kafalis, Senator Grantham, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator John, Senator Lambert, Senator Lundberg, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1006?
House Bill 1006 by Representatives Becker Kay and Representatives Becker Kay Garnett and Senator Hill. Concerning clarification of the scope of the exemption from government charges for property owned by or leased to a housing authority or owned by, leased to, or under construction by an entity that is wholly owned by an entity in which an authority has an ownership interest, or an entity in which an entity wholly owned by an authority or of which an authority is the sole member has an ownership interest.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1006 and ask for your support. If Department of Revenue is going to change the rules midstream, they need to change the law. They don't get to just change the rules. We're clarifying what has been legislative intent for a while here. And again, ask for your support.
And I ask for $5. Senator Hill, your tab is growing. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1006 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1006 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Holbert, Senator Kerr, Senator Ulibarri, Senator John, Senator Garcia, Senator Woods, Senator Kafalis, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 190?
Senate Bill 190 by Senator Stedman, Representative Reagan, concerning improving the process for county administration and public assistance programs in connection with making or reducing appropriations.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 190 on third reading and final passage.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 190 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 190 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Lambert, Senator Grantham, Senator Kafalis, Senator Hodge, Senator Carroll, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Heath, Senator John, Senator Merrifield, Senator Aguilar, Senator Newell, Senator Jones, Senator Todd, General orders, second reading of bills. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over the general order second reading of bills calendar to April 27th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will lay over the general orders second reading of bills calendar until April 27th. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 21?
Senate Bill 21 by Senator Donovan and Representatives Mitch Bush and Becker Kay, concerning recognition of the third Saturday in May as a state holiday and in connection therewith designating the third Saturday in May as Public Lands Day.
Senator Donovan.
Mr. President, I request a senatorial 5.
The Senate will stand in a senatorial 2. The Senate will come back to order. Senator Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over Senate Bill 21 to the end of the consideration of House amendments to Senate bills calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 21 will lay over until the end of the consideration of House amendments to Senate bills calendar. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 65.
Senate Bill 65 by Senator Stedman and Representative Lee, concerning criminal restitution.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in House amendments to Senate Bill 65.
Discussion?
Thank you. The House made two really very minor amendments to the bill. They clarified that expungement will not vacate or relieve someone of the obligation to pay their restitution. And they also made a slight change to the effective date to delay one portion of the bills taking effect. I'd ask for a aye vote on the concurrence motion.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 65. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 65. Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the readoption of Senate Bill 65 as amended.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the readoption of Senate Bill 65. Are there any no votes? Senator Baumgardner, Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, Senator Woods, Senator Marble. With 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 65 is re-adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 158?
Senate Bill 158 by Senator Lundberg, Representative Primavera, concerning the ability of a physician assistant to perform functions delegated by a physician that are within the physician assistant's scope of practice.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we concur with the House amendment to Senate Bill 158. It was a change in the citation in the statutes on where controlled substances are referenced. It was a little more comprehensive list as to when a physician working with a physician's assistant is to be listed on a prescription bottle.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the concurrence with House amendments to Senate Bill 158. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 158. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for readoption of Senate Bill 158.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the readoption of Senate Bill 158. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate readopts Senate Bill 158. Co-sponsors. Senator John, Senator Kafalis, Senator Woods, Senator Neville. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 62?
Senate Bill 62 by Senator Marble and Representatives Beal and Becker J. concerning modifications to regulation of veterinary pharmaceuticals.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 62 and that a conference committee be appointed.
The motion before the body is to reject House amendments to Senate Bill 62 and that a conference committee be formed. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? Senator Jones? Senator Kerr? Senator Aguilar? With 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate rejects House amendments to Senate Bill 62 and a conference committee will be formed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 21?
Senate Bill 21 by Senator Donovan and Representatives Mitch Bush and Becker K. concerning recognition of the third Saturday in May as a state holiday in connection therewith designating the third Saturday in May as Public Lands Day.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 21 and that a conference committee be appointed.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is to reject House amendments to Senate Bill 21 and that a conference committee be formed. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate rejects House amendments to Senate Bill 21 and a conference committee will be formed. Consideration of House Senate Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate lay over the consideration of House adherence calendar to April 27th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The consideration of House adherence to House bills will lay over until April 27th. Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read all of the appointments on the consent calendar?
Member of the Private Occupational School Board for a term expiring July 1, 2018, Timothy Leroy Brooks of Thornton, Colorado, representing the general public who is an owner or operator of business within Colorado that employs students who are enrolled in schools that are subject to administration by the Private Occupational School Division and occasioned by the resignation of Gene L. Robinson of Denver, Colorado, appointed.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate confirm the governor's appointments detailed on the consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar, which includes a member of the Private Occupational School Board.
You've heard the motion. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes on the appointment? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Timothy Leroy Brooks is appointed as a member of the Private Occupational School Board. Governor's appointments. Majority Leader Scheffel. Mr. Majors.
Members of the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System for a term expiring December 31, 2016, William Dean Singleton in Denver, Colorado, serve as an unaffiliated candidate by the resignation of Dorothy Horrell, Wheat Ridge, Colorado, appointed. Effective December 31, 2015, for term expiring December 31, 2019, Dimitri E. Ricoman of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a Democrat, reappointed. William E. G. Mosher of Denver, Colorado, serve as Democrat, reappointed.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate lay over the confirmation of the members of the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System to April 27th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The consideration of governor's appointments will lay over until April 27th. Consideration of conference committee reports. Mr. Majors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the remaining appointment?
Member of the Charter School Institute Board for a term expiring July 1, 2018, Robert Joseph LaPalme of Colorado Springs, Colorado, serves as the representative of a parent of a student who is or who has been enrolled in an institute charter school and as a Republican reappointed.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the appointment of Robert Joseph LaPalme to the Charter School Institute Board and ask for the Senate support.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the appointment of Robert Joseph LaPalme to the Charter School Institute Board. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Robert Joseph LaPalme is appointed as a member of the Charter School Institute Board. Consideration of conference committee reports. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1231.
House Bill 1231 by Representative Lebsack and Senator Carroll concerning the limited use of an automated vehicle identification systems designed to detect disobedience to a traffic signal.
Are you ready? Okay.
Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the first conference committee report for House Bill 1231. Members, this is our favorite red light bill. So with the help of our Chair of Transportation and Representative John Becker in the House, we in conference committee took this to a straight ban. You'll recall the House version was pretty light, and the Senate version was prohibiting enforcement. This is a clean ban on red light camera. Came out of the conference committee, I think 5-1, and ask for a yes vote on the conference committee report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the conference committee report on House Bill 1231. Are there any no votes? Senator Kerr. Senator Heath. Senator Hodge. Senator Kafalis. Senator Kerr. Senator Newell. Senator Todd. Senator Ulibarri. Senator Johnston. Senator Jones. Senator Merrifield. With 25 ayes, 10 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate adopts the Conference Committee report on House Bill 1231. Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for readoption of House Bill 1231 as amended.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the readoption of House Bill 1231. Are there any no votes? Senator Heath? Senator Todd? Senator Hodge? No votes on House Bill 1231. Senator Jones? Senator Stedman? Senator Johnston? Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Newell, Senator Kerr, with 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1231 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader. Senator Lundberg, if you've co-sponsored this before, you don't need to co-sponsor it again. Message from the governor.
March 7, 2016, the Honorable Colorado Senate, ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate and appoint submit to consideration the following members of the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. For term expiring March 13, 2017, Miguel Michael Rene Elias of Pueblo West, Colorado, serves as a member of the community at large and as a Republican, and recused by the resignation of Dulce Saenz of Denver, Colorado, appointed. For term expiring March 13, 2020, Ulysses J. Cheney of Colorado Springs, Colorado, serves as a representative of state or local government entities and as a Republican appointed. Pankaj Sharma of Boulder, Colorado, serves as a representative of the community at large and as an unaffiliated appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
The governor's appointments for the Colorado Civil Rights Commission are assigned to the Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. Message from the House.
April 26, 2016, Mr. President, the House has adopted and transmits herewith House Joint Resolution 1019 as amended.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side of House Bill 1231, I move for its reconsideration. Slowly and with feeling. 1231. Yep.
Why can I not?
Readoption. It's the very last thing we did. Just did that.
The motion before the body is the reconsideration of House Bill 1231 on page 4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1231 is back. And you can't stop it. Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for readoption of House Bill 1231 as amended by the Conference Committee report.
Well, why don't we go ahead and hear the title of it? Mr. Majors.
House Bill 1231 by Representative Lebstock and Senator Carroll concerning the limited use of automated vehicle identification systems designed to detect disobedience to a traffic signal.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the readoption, readoption of House Bill 1231. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones, Senator Hodge, Senator Heath, Senator Todd, Senator Johnston, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Newell, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Stedman, with 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1231 is adopted again. Co-sponsors: Senator Tate, Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Number 2. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move that the Senate reconsider the readoption of Senate Bill 65.
You've heard the motion for reconsideration of Senate Bill 65 on page 3. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 65 is reconsidered. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 65.
Senate Bill 65 by Senator Stedman and Representative Lee concerning criminal restitution.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I once again move for the readoption of Senate Bill 65 as amended.
You have heard the motion. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? Senator Baumgartner, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, Senator Lundberg, Senator Marble, Senator Cook, Senator Scott. No votes on Senate Bill 65. With 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 65 is readopted. Co-sponsors: announcements. No announcements? More reconsiderations? Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. The third of a triad. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move that the Senate reconsider the confirmation of the governor's appointment of a member of the Charter School Institute Board, contained in the consideration of governor's appointments, page 4. Ask for an aye vote.
The motion before the body is the readoption of governor's appointment on the consideration, reconsider, my bad, is the reconsideration of the appointment for the Charter School Institute Board. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The appointment is up for reconsideration. Senator Hill. Mr. Majors, would you please read the appointment?
Member of the Charter School Institute Board for term expiring July 1, 2018, Robert Joseph LaPalme of Colorado Springs, Colorado, serves as a representative of a parent of a student who is or who has been enrolled in an Institute Charter School and as a Republican reappointed.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues, for your reconsideration of this. I move for the appointment of Robert Joseph LaPalme to the Charter School Institute Board and ask for your support.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the appointment of Robert Joseph LaPalme. Are there any no votes? Senator Merrifield. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Robert Joseph LaPalme is appointed as a member of the Charter School Institute Board. Reconsiderations? Announcements. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. We want to just announce tomorrow, remember, is Colorado Denim Day. We have these cash boxes on either side of in the chamber, and if you would like to wear jeans tomorrow, which is in honor of sexual assault victims and survivors, then just put in your $5 here and wear your jeans tomorrow, and we'll tell you the story tomorrow.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you. I would point out there is a lock on the box. Just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yes. So in jeans tomorrow.
Senator Newell. That just cost you $5 more to the cause, to the lockbox with your fine. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow is the due date for bringing in the Veterans Care Package. We distributed grocery bags and a shopping list last week. So if you're going to bring something, tomorrow's the due date. Thank you very much.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Joint Budget Committee is going to be meeting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I just want to make an announcement about it, though, because we're going to be having a discussion about some possibilities of things we could do with a senior homestead exemption. Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to be having some discussions about possible options for the future of the senior homestead exemption. It's a very important issue. We're just having a discussion of it today, but we would invite anybody interested in that issue or that subject to meet over in the JBC at 2 o'clock.
Further announcements? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are some announcements for committees. First, let me deal with a couple of committees tomorrow. In Business, Labor, and Technology, they're adding House Bill 1432. House Bill 1432 for Business Committee tomorrow. And then upon adjournment, Ag will be meeting. Upon adjournment, Ag will be meeting tomorrow to hear House Bill 1324. For today, in Finance this afternoon, House Bill 1301 will not be heard. And in Senate Judiciary, upon adjournment immediately, the bills will be heard in the following order: Senate Bill 146, House Bill 1337, House Bill 1359, and House Bill 1021.
Further announcements? Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, that concludes our work for the day. As you head off to committees, we are going to leave the desk open, as bills trickle over from the House. But we may have another announcement. Irrelevant? Going once?
Your leadership.
It'll be okay. All right. So we are going to leave the desk open, colleagues, but your work here is done. You do not need to return. With that, Mr. President, I move the Senate recess to 1 p.m. this afternoon.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will stand in recess until 1 p.m.